I'm about to finish college in the fall this year. I've been attending Harvard University and studying to be a lawyer, which I then plan to become a law professor after I have built up enough experience. It's a bittersweet feeling since the end of school year is right upon us, and I'll be splitting up with my best pals I've lived for with the past 4 years, who have all become brothers to me. I will also be relieved to not have to study so much and do so many exams. We have tests every week, and I find myself studying into the late hours of the night every week. I've been binge drinking coffee at midnight just to stay awake so I can study for my upcoming exams. There has been plenty of times I've gone to class in the morning after an all-nighter, still wearing the same clothes I wore to class the day before. I can't afford to not pass my exams, so I figured I would give it 110%, and this will be all over in just 2 more months. I could then head back home for a few weeks before I start a job at my father's attorney firm in my hometown. I will be excited to see all my old friends. A lot of them already have families, so it will be interesting to see the type of men they've grown into. It was the last week of school, and we had 2 exams every day. I figured I would be awake 80% of the week since these were the most important tests before we would be handed our diplomas. There are several other steps I have to take before becoming a licensed attorney, but for now, all I can focus on is receiving my diploma so I can finish my university studies. My family had all flown into town since I would be graduating next week, and they decided to plan some tours around the state and look around, and they would head back home with me when I graduate. It was nice to see my family. They asked me to go to dinner with them, so I went to dinner knowing I would be up the entire night since I had hours of studying to do for tomorrow's exam. After 2 hours of eating, I politely excused myself from our table and told them I must head back to my dorm to study, that I would text them tomorrow morning before class. I said goodbye to my mother and father, thanking them for visiting me, along with my younger sister and brother who were also in town with my parents. I headed home and began studying. I wasn't even 25% through my studies when I suddenly found myself at a dorm party. I was confused. Why was I here since I had so much work ahead of me, and figured it was the end of the year, so we're just enjoying our last few days. All my best bros were here. I could see Fred taking shots of alcohol, which I began laughing my butt off since I have never seen him drink a single drop of alcohol in the last 4 years I've known him. I could tell he was drunk already, and came over to me and began high-fiving me and giving me hugs. I laughed, as I could see my other 2 friends laughing as well, since they couldn't believe what was happening. I saw more and more people coming into the party that I didn't recognize. I figured they were the freshman students at our college, which usually arrive in party mode. After a couple years, the parties start to fade on you as you begin focusing more on the end of your studies. The night was going fairly well. I had met some new girls that were giving me and my friends some attention. They were standing around with us, kind of vibing to the music, but not really talking much. I could see Fred still drinking more shots, as I decided to head over and ask him to chill out. I knew he had school tomorrow as well, and didn't want him to be pissed drunk trying to finish his exams. Fred was usually the most dedicated out of all of us with his studies. I was surprised why he would risk the most important part of our school year over a dorm party. When I tried telling him to relax, he wasn't having it. He kind of just pushed me away and began socializing with the other freshman students that were in the party. I could see a group of guys in the back room, all of them holding huge stacks of money in their hands. I figured they were gambling, and it was strict campus rules that there's no gambling allowed. Since I hadn't seen this in my entire time at college, I headed over to see what was going on since I could see Fred also standing alongside the table with these guys. At that moment, I saw a pistol laying in the middle of the table. It was a revolver, and I could see 1 bullet sitting in the chamber. I instantly knew these guys were playing Russian roulette when I saw one of the guys spin the chamber and pull the trigger to his head. It clicked and the gun didn't go off, as the guys all laughed and handed him the money. At that moment, I see Fred grab the revolver and put it to his head. I attempted to scream at Fred to stop, don't do it. He already had the revolver pointed at his temple and wasn't paying attention. I ran over to Fred as I jumped over the table like a football player as I lunged for the gun, and that's when it went off. A loud bang rang the room as I jumped in panic with my laptop falling on the floor. It was all a dream. I looked down and saw my laptop screen had broken, and I realized I fell asleep while studying for my exams. My heart was racing as I could feel the actual pain of Fred killing himself in my dream, and it all felt so real. A few minutes went by as my heart slowed down, realizing I was having a nightmare the entire time and had fallen asleep in my dorm while studying. I just began the new school year at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. It's a large prestige university that is nestled right along the Pacific Coast Highway. It has a huge, perfectly manicured front lawn with tight security, only allowing students and active personnel on the campus. I'm living nearby in a local condominium that is shared with 5 other college girls, each one of us sharing a room together. My father is a businessman that owns his own private contract company that gets jobs directly with NASA. My parents live in Pasadena, which is located just a few miles from the local NASA base nestled in the Los Angeles hills. My father paid my studies as long as I would focus on finance and accounting, so he could take me on board with his business, where he needed someone he can rely on with our company's finances. Our mother is the one in charge now, but she's getting tired and preparing to retire within the coming years. By then I should have finished my studies and can begin working in the family business. To be honest, I'm not really interested in finance, but I can work and save money until I can start a business on my own, maybe selling makeup or handbags. Someone had broken into my car while parked along the beach earlier today. They stole my purse, which contained my phone and wallet and the key card to our condo. The key card had the name of our building and room number, so I freaked out thinking someone had access to my house and could cause harm. I called the police while they made a report on the incident and said there was nothing they could do. I would have to contact our condo and have them change the key card. I sent my landlord a text messaging explaining I needed a new key card, that someone had stolen it out of my car, and she replied and told me she was out of town and would arrive in 5 days. She would issue me a new card by then, but she couldn't cancel the existing card until she arrived back in town. I told her okay, I would share a key card with my roommate until she can get back and issue the new card. I headed home and began calling my credit card company to cancel my cards, along with my bank to cancel my debit cards. I had a backup credit card at home I could use meanwhile I received all my new cards. It was a horrible experience, but glad nobody got hurt and they had just stolen my possessions. I spoke with my family, who told me not to worry, it happens all the time. Just make sure I cancel all of my bank cards so they don't continue using them. I decided to shower up and get ready for bed. It was already around 9 p.m. and I was starting to feel drowsy after finishing up a few episodes of a Netflix series. I could hear the front door to our condo slam closed, which I figured was Stephanie, since she's always fighting with her boyfriend and slamming doors when she's upset. I giggled while I laid in bed attempting to fall asleep. I had a test tomorrow morning, which we have one every Friday, so I had to get a good night's rest so I can focus on my studies. That's when I heard a scream from my roommate in the other room, followed by a man's voice telling her to shut up as I could no longer hear my friend anymore. I feared for my life. There wasn't supposed to be any men in our dorm, and I didn't recognize the voice I heard in the other room. I instantly turned off my nightlight and jumped underneath my bed. I had a bunch of blankets and some plastic storage bins underneath, so I got in the middle of them and tried to hide in case this person came into my room. My heart raced faster, remembering my door was unlocked, since we don't lock our doors to avoid locking each other out since we have shared rooms. I could hear my friend crying silently in the other room as my heart began to race faster and faster. That's when I hear my bedroom door open and the lights turn on. I could see a black pair of boots with the bottom of black jeans walking around my room. They shuffled through my drawers and I realized we were being robbed. It must have been the same people who stole my purse out of my car, since they entered the house without knocking. Our front door is always locked and you have to use the key card to get in. I laid quietly, feeling the tears run down my face as I covered my mouth to avoid making noise. I watched the man's feet as he walked around my room, going through our things. I could see him begin to kneel down and look under the bed. My heart sank. I felt he knew I was there, and now I would be found. He glanced under the bed as I covered my face looking down. To my surprise, I heard him get back up and continue going through our drawers. A sigh of relief came upon me as he didn't see me under the bed as I hid there silently trying to relax. I saw him step out of the room and continue to close the door behind him. I could hear the front door open and shut as my roommate ran into my room crying in fear. We had been robbed, but luckily nobody was injured. I instantly explained what happened to my mother, and my parents picked me up the same night and took me back home. The next day, my father rented a room within the campus of the university that was guarded by security 24 hours a day.